Welcome to the Windows SIG for April 2024. There it goes. I've been asked to run this slideshow at the beginning of every SIG, and so here it is, upcoming events at CKCS. I won't insult your intelligence by reading the whole thing to you, but there's that, Photography SIG. Every Thursday. Page down. What is this next slide? Oh, went too fast. Going through the whole thing too fast. I'm going to start over again. Sorry, guys. All right. I've already seen that one. Here we go. This is tonight. Tonight is Tuesday, April 9th. So tonight's topic is finding help with Windows. I'll get into that a little bit more later. All things Apple next Tuesday. Zoom only. Digital Photography SIG, Tuesday the 23rd. This one is in person only. There's some instructions there. If you need to go back over any of this, it's in the newsletter. If you don't know how to get to the newsletter, you can go to the website, ckcs.org, and that will get you there. Go on in. You're in the Windows SIG. Find a seat. Happy to have you. This is a slide about the spring classes. You'll see several that are still accepting registrations. I don't know. You can call the CKCS office during the day to double check that. You can check on the website. I think as soon as they're full, they get removed from the available classes.
Yes.
Yeah, they say full and won't let you sign up anymore. Right. We do have summer classes coming up. The registration starts late this month. There's several this summer. You'll enjoy those. Oh, every time I click something else, I lose that was the last slide anyway. So that's it. Okay. I could turn that off. Go back to Zoom. And I guess it really doesn't matter. You can look at my desk. Those people in the room can see me. I assume if you're not in the room, you can also see me because I'm talking. So that works. We've got 5 people here in addition to me tonight, and there's a handful of you online I saw earlier. There was 8 or 9 of you. 8. So we're glad to have you join us tonight. Tonight's topic is finding reliable ways of getting help with Windows.
Paul,
Sure, go ahead.
That was not rookie. I've changed the name to Extra Link.
Oh, okay.
You make me co-host, and I admit people they log in.
Make co-host. Done. Yes. All right. So welcome to those of you who are joining us over Zoom. We're glad to have you here. For those of you who are in the Zoom, I have added a file to the Zoom chat, which is tonight's handout. This is 100% my fault that these did not get emailed out to you today because I didn't get it done because of the eclipse. I'll blame that, right? Here are some for those of you in the room. Turn it nicely in color. Take one down, pass it around. Okay. This topic was suggested to me a couple of months ago, as I've got more up here if you need them, if anybody else comes in. This topic was recommended to me a couple of months ago as a way to help people find information on what to do when you have a problem in Windows. Now, some of you can just pick up the phone and call your buddy or favorite CKCS member and say, how do I fix this? But for those of us who are normally the person that a lot of the rest of you call, I have to have someone that some way that I can get answers, because there's no way I can answer off the top of my head all the different questions I get asked in a month about computers, about Windows particularly. Another one of the reasons why this became a topic was I realized as I was doing some research a few weeks ago for someone else that one of the sites that was returned fairly high in Google's return list was itself a malware site, a bogus site, that if you had followed the instructions that it gave, you would have ended up with some information on your computer you would not want to have had. So I set out to come up with some guidelines that you could use to help you make sure that the help information that you might find online is valid, is useful, is helpful. And then secondarily, some general principles that you can follow to let you know when you might be sitting or might be headed toward a website that could be nefarious. We'll use that word. We talked, it was just last month, about how to avoid increasing Windows security and doing the right thing with your keeping your Windows up to date. And I mentioned in that presentation that the internet was at this point by and far the prime vector for getting viruses or malware onto your computer. There was a time when it was, well, if you go back far enough, there was a time when it was floppy drives or floppy disks. And then it was thumb drives or CDs or even DVDs at a time. Now, all of those are, of course, when was the last time you inserted many of those into your computer? Maybe other than a thumb drive. So, but now by far the most common vector for malware to reach your computer is via the internet. So before we get through this evening, half of the handout is talking about how to avoid negative things from the internet. So here is my best advice for resolving Windows problems. First of all, and this is not documented anywhere, this is not in the handout, this is just me talking off the top of my head. First of all, is to write down exactly or take a screen capture exactly of the message that you're seeing on your screen. Whether it's an error message from a piece of software or whether it's an error message from Windows itself, having the exact text of the message that you're given is, in fact, the first step in finding a solution to the problem. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to a person who's trying to offer technical support for someone to tell them, me in this case, well, it said something about illegal operation and then had some numbers and letters, and I'm not sure what all it said. I forgot. And I didn't write it down, or I didn't do a screen capture. I didn't take a picture with my phone. I've had people literally take out their phone and take a picture of their screen. That's perfect. I don't care how you get the information. That's a perfectly acceptable way of capturing the error so that the person that you're trying to get to help you or yourself can best find a solution to your problem. And the reason that it's important that it be precise is oftentimes the difference between one error and another error is a single digit or a single word that's transposed, or and the difference between an error in one version of Windows and another version of Windows, which may have completely different solutions, are simply in how the error is worded on the screen. So knowing those exact words is very important. So once you have the words, what do you do? So here's my favorite trick. And if you called me tonight with a problem with your Windows and you could tell me what the error message is, this is what I would do. Let me find a browser. Here's one. bring it over here so you all can see. If I'd been smart, I would have found some exact error messages to type in here. So here's a very common error, file not found. So my trick is, and I didn't even follow my own advice here, which I haven't given to you yet, is to put the exact error in double quotes. File not found. Put it in double quotes in Google or your favorite search engine, and then hit enter and let it go and find out. Now, I got all kinds of different issues here, but in addition to this, I'm going to put in what version of Windows I'm running, Windows 11, and I'm putting that also in quotes. If you just type Windows 11, it's going to find all kinds of different things. So put the exact error message in quotes and also put the version of Windows that you are running in quotes. So file not found and Windows 11 are in separate quotes.
Paul, are you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have? I'm not seeing anything. Are you showing something on the screen?
Yes, you are right because I forgot to share my screen. Thank you for
There you go.
reminding me.
I thought.
No, I had forgotten. My fault.
And then I thought, you said there was a handout, but you haven't mailed it out yet, or what's the deal?
The handout is in the handout is in the no, for a second. It's in the chat. Let me bring that back up so you can see it. How do I get that to go full screen again?
I'm not seeing it in the chat, Paul.
All right, let me do it again. Maybe if you entered the chat after I put the file up there, it's not there. So thank you for making me aware of that. I am trying to get this to go.
You have the chat link on the bottom of your screen, the toolbar.
Well, the toolbar, I want the Zoom toolbar, and it's not. Oh, it's over here. It's on the other screen. The chat. All right, I'll enter this again. I'll send this again. Okay, those of you in the chat, are you now seeing it?
I just went there.
Yeah, I see it. I do see it now.
20 online sources for quality solutions for Microsoft Windows or something, some such thing.
Yeah, it's in there, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. I had assumed that if I put something in the chat and you join the chat after I put it in there, that you would find it available, but obviously that's not the case. So glad that worked out for you.
I can't open that though. I can't. That's all right. I'll listen to you.
But Paul, I can't. Tell me how to find it in the chat.
Okay. So if you click the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, if you
It's
click
hard to
the
tell
chat,
which one is it. They're so small.
it looks like a picture of a cartoon bubble.
Next participants.
It's this one right here, isn't it? Yeah, it's the fifth one over from it's that one right there. So if you click that, that will launch this little box here. From that little box, you can then see this. Now, someone said they couldn't. I think Jerry said he couldn't. So I'm gonna also give you the word.
I can't open it takes me to a result in pictures, it says. It's a PDF file. I try to save it. I can save it, but that's all I can do. I can't really look at it.
All right, I just sent it to you as a Word document, Jerry. See if you can open the Word document.
All right, let me try that.
I'm glad I thought to send myself both of those so I could do that.
Okay, I got it too.
Okay, can you see my screen now? Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah.
Yes, I see it.
move that back over there, and I'm going to move this back over here so it's off the screen. So going back to my file not found Windows 11. Google really likes videos, and so you see up here, you've got 4 videos and
Yeah.
potentially ways to fix those. And as far as a cautionary, simply watching it, I'm not aware that you can catch any malware from watching a YouTube video. Now, if you follow instructions in a YouTube video, you could, but just watching a YouTube video is a fine way to solve your problem. And oftentimes that is helpful, and I'll use it as well. But then what I'll do from there is I will look and see the source of the advice. So here I did file not found in Windows 11. I've got replies from the Microsoft community. And if you look on number 3 on the 20 sources, that is one of the preferred quality solutions. Zendesk is not on here. I happen to know it's reliable. It wasn't on there. ZDNet is on there, but I don't know that Zendesk. So all of this to say, Windows Report is on here, number 13. So I've given you a list of 20 reliable sources for tech support help. So I would not hesitate on clicking, if you're sure, I would not hesitate on clicking any of these. Stack Overflow actually wasn't on here. It's pretty technical. I'm not sure I'd recommend it to everyone. So all of this to say, if you type your error in quotes, double quotes, and then type your operating system as a separate query, also in double quotes, in the same Google line, and search for that, you're going to probably find some results. Let me do a little bit of Google searching here myself.
Call it the Microsoft community. It's not just Microsoft employees, is it?
No, that is the Microsoft Learn community is different, and it's not just Microsoft employees. That is but Microsoft employees are monitoring it. If there's something, it's self-monitoring in many respects. But if there's one user who says, hey, that's not good advice, they can flag it, and then a Microsoft person can make it go away. So it's pretty good quality. The 11 most common. Well, this is one I'm familiar with, Geeks for Geeks. All I'm bringing this up for is to get an exact error message, which I'm not, these are not really. All right, let me do Bluetooth driver not working. That's not actually a, and here, and I'll try a different error here. Bluetooth driver not working, Windows 11. And here's Microsoft Community. So that was one of the ones that's list number 3. We'll click through that. And you can see here, so this person, Gopal Krish, is an independent advisor. So that means that they're not a Microsoft employee, but Microsoft has sort of given them a seal of approval, which is how they get to be an independent advisor within the Microsoft community. So these are probably, go ahead. These are probably pretty good piece of advice of how to resolve this. So again, these are just advice on how to just advice on how to resolve problems that you might find in Windows. Let me look this up a little differently. Do you all understand what happens when I put the double quotes around words within a Google search? This doesn't have anything to do with Windows. This is a Google thing. Putting double quotes around things will force Google to look for those words exactly. Leaving them out, it might be, so if I had not put error messages Windows 11, it could have been like error 11 Windows messages. The words could come in any order. By putting these in double quotes, that's forcing Google to look for the words in the order and pretty much the exact spelling. Now I misspelled messages and it corrected my spelling. So it did do that. Give me a second here. I'm going to look for the actual text of an error. Let's try this one real quick. I've actually seen this error before. All right, let's search for this one. This is the exact error that appears in certain situations by Windows. So I'm going to grab the whole error. I'm going to go over here to, I'm just going to go up here to my taskbar, to my Windows address bar. And I just typed that, I just pasted in that whole error message. Windows Update was disabled by your system administrator. The whole error message, I just typed it in there, or pasted it in there. I added Windows 11. And you see that here's one from Tom's Hardware. That's number 10 on your list. Now there weren't very many with this, but what I'm trying to say is, if it's in this list of 20 potential reliable, and there are more than this. I'm not trying to say these are the only 20 that are reliable. But I'm saying if you find one in this list of 20, it is reliable. So you can then read this if you choose to try and solve that problem. So this is the framework I'm trying to show you on how to potentially solve your own problems. Paste in the exact error message into Google or your favorite search engine. Put it in quotes so that it's the exact message, and then also put in quotes your operating system. It's Windows 10, put in Windows 10. If it's Windows 11, put in Windows 11. And that will find that text within a screen on the internet, and hopefully that will have an answer to your question. So that is the secret sauce that this whole SIG tonight is sort of based around. Finding your own answers to your own problems. And the reason that I'm listed so many different ones here, why there's 20, I'm not always sending you to the same one, is because quite often, not one site may not have an answer to the question. You have to look at another one or several before it makes sense. And I will tell you right off the bat, the first 3 on the list, they're all Microsoft ones. My experience with the Microsoft sites is they tend to be very complicated. You've got to have a degree in computer science before some of their answers make sense, which is why there are 17 other listings on this page, is because Tom's Hardware particularly, he's just a regular guy. He's very smart. He and the people that write for him write very plainly. And often they have really down to earth solutions to very common problems. There's several magazines in here. Forbes, but they very often have, if there's a problem that a lot of people are experiencing all at once, Forbes is often a very timely way to find information about what's happening with that problem. And that's true with several of these. So I invite you to use these. And so if I had to just put in a synopsis of what I'm trying to get across tonight, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Put the error message, or as accurate a summary as you can put of the error, in quotes. If it's a summary, you probably don't want to use quotes, but if it's the exact error message, put it in quotes. And then also add, also in quotes, in addition to that, the version of Windows you're using, and your search engine will return to you many pages that will probably answer the problem. And then use this list to narrow it down to what I would consider reliable sources. And that's the front side of the handout tonight. The second page of the handout, which we're moving on to now, is what if you do a search and the pages returned aren't in the list? You've got a really unusual error, or if maybe it's an error in a particular program, not in Windows itself, but you've got an error in Microsoft Word or HTML Pro or Photoshop, or name your favorite program. You've got an error in that program. Well, my list here on this side, these are mostly dealing, not all of them, but many of these are just dealing with Windows errors. You could also have errors in other completely different programs. So the framework on this page 2 of the handout is to help you to be able to discern between reputable, reliable, quality websites and websites which may in fact be harmful to you. And there are several ways to go through that process. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time tonight really sort of going over these. Some of these are just practical. Some of these are common sense. You already would know them inherently, but having them in a list hopefully will help you avoid the pitfalls that even someone with experience can fall into. I'm just going to go down through these one at a time. Double check the URL. The very common way to get people to click on websites that are nefarious is to purposefully misspell the domain in such a way that it appears to be what you're looking for, but in fact, when you get to it, it's not. So instead of Microsoft.com, which would be the way it should be spelled, one of the O's is traded out for a 0. Whoops. Is traded out for a 0. Or an I is traded out for an L, or an L is traded out for 1. That often happens. Yeah, let me do one here and see how you can. So you can, if you look, I realize it's very small on the screen, but what I typed in there is GOOG1E. It's sort of, at a glance, it looks like Google, but it isn't. And nefarious people will try and use creative misspellings of words to trick you. And the example that's given on the page is the letter R next to the letter N looks like an M. It's very hard to tell. It's not an M unless you're looking at it carefully. So be vigilant about subtle differences. Second thing is look for the, oh, this site's doesn't have it. What, this is Chrome. Why am I not seeing the lock? Um, wow. I hadn't noticed, and I apologize. I had not noticed that the lock is actually missing. It used to be up here, but in a recent Chrome, I'm using Chrome. I think I'm using Chrome. Yeah, I'm using Chrome. They recently took the lock off the toolbar. So you have to click this little slider thing to see the fact that it is a secure site. That doesn't seem helpful. So look for the padlock, item number 2. Let me see if Firefox doesn't. Firefox isn't on this. Let me see what Edge does. Bing.com. Yeah, I think that indicates it's locked. Connection is secure. That lock means it is secured. So Edge does a little better job than Chrome in this particular case. All right, so look for the padlock. Make sure that it's a secure website. If any reputable website should have, I mean, if it doesn't have a lock, you should probably just avoid it. Oh, I mean, this is a little busy, isn't it? Any reputable site. Let me click on something here so I can. There we go. Connection is secure. Look for the padlock. Check for HTTPS. So this one's a little difficult to do. But if you click twice in the address bar, once, twice, you can go back to the top, to the beginning of the beginning of the address, and you'll notice that it's HTTPS. It's S that we're looking for because that means secure. If it has the lock, it should have the S, but it's just two ways of checking the same thing. But this would be, look for the HTTPS before you click on the link. You can hover, so if there's a link in the page, you can hover over the page, and at the bottom of the screen, I don't know, you can barely see this down in the bottom right corner. It says HTTPS : // et cetera, et cetera. You're looking for that little S even before you click on the link. The same is true with a link in an email. If you hover your mouse over the link, if the link is in words, if you hover the mouse over the link, it should display the full length in a little pop-up spot so that you can tell what it is. Look for the S. Validates. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. I'm afraid I don't ever recall seeing a lock that you're talking about. Where is that lock?
What browser do you use?
I always use, Google or sometimes Edge, but you Google.
Okay, here's Chrome. So here's the lock. The lock used to be right here, but right up here, right next to the address bar. But in some recent version of Chrome, they've taken it away. And now you have to click on this little icon that's right next to the address, and there's the lock right there.
Okay, I see it. Okay. That's the kind of lock you're looking for. Okay.
Yep.
Well, they're only telling you about the current address that's up there. So
that's right.
If you type in and change it again, you still got to check for the second.
That is correct. Well, that's not really completely true. As long as you stay on tomshardware.com,
yes,
it's the whole site that's protected. But if you follow a link on tomshardware.com that takes you to Cinemax, then now you see the name has changed and you got to check again. And yes, it is secure.
But if you now return back,
you don't have to check it again. Right.
Yeah, that never made any sense, but I guess a lot of them. So
If you type it in, will it show you before you click to go to that site? Does it show you it?
No.
So you actually have to go to the site,
Well, that's
whether it's locked or not.
which is why I was suggesting check for the S. If it's got the full address, if you check for the S, that is roughly equivalent to it being locked. It's technically possible to have a lock and not have an S. Yes, it's technically possible, but it's very unlikely. It would be very unusual for that to be the case.
I noticed too, Mike, well, you can just type in www.ckcs without, doing the HTTPS, and it adds it on there, but I don't know if it checks or something beforehand, or it maybe
Many new
take you somewhere when it wasn't. So,
Many new browsers will give you a warning if you try to go to a website. I think Chrome is set up, unless you turn it off. Chrome is set up. If you try to go to an insecure website, it pops it up and it says, you're trying to travel to a website that is not fully secure. Are you sure you want to do this? And that's for your protection. So it's not nearly, and that's probably why they've hidden the lock, because they're doing an intercept now, unless you disable it. So that's much less critical than it used to be, because the expectation now is that every site is secure. If it's not secure, then it's not reputable. So validate certificate information. This is sort of complicated, but if you want to follow the link in the handout, in the electronic version of the handout, and Mike is going to email it out tomorrow, then you can actually get more information on that. So there are safe browsing extensions. And in addition to checking to make sure the website is secure, it will actually add hooks into your browser that will prevent you from going to sites that have been identified by other users as being dangerous. I mentioned a couple of months ago that I use SSET as my virus protection software. That's one of the things that it is. That's one of the little extra things it does, is it keeps a list of all known problem websites, and it prevents any browser in my house from going to those websites. So that's sort of handy. It's not an extension. I've accomplished the same thing at a higher level. So all of these are things that you do in your browser. You do with the browser. They work with the browser. Going into number 6 is things that you do with your browser before you go to the website to check the address. So let me bring up this first one right here, URL scan. URLSCAN, I think it's .io, which stands for input output, which is sort of a little techie. So you can pull this up here. So you would do this before you went to a website. So somebody sent you an email and they said, check out my new website or something like that. Well, if you want to be sure that it's not going to be a bad website before you actually even go to it, you can come to this website and type it in, and it will give you information about the website, including whether or not it's a bad site. Sometimes there are ones up here that are in red, and that sort of gives you the idea that there's a problem with that website. But you can type in your own here. It can be slow. It's free. There we go. So we have a neutral classification, which is not, it's neither positive nor negative. It's just neutral. They've given us all kinds of information about the website that most of us don't care about, but there it is. It's all kinds of information. I think I can actually, I may have to be logged in to add a verdict, so I'm not going to do that here. But that's urlscan.io. It's documented as number 6. Number 7 is very similar. I'm going to do that one. SUCURI.com. Well, I used this earlier today. Let me go back to my document and see if it's clicked. Bear with me here. No, it's here. Next page. Oh, you can't tell until you click on it. It's Sucuri.net. So this is free. So again, I can type in ckcs.org. No malware found. Site is not blacklisted. So these are two similar checks that one, they do different functions. One of them is checking the one of them is checking to see if the site is known as bad. This one, Sucuri, actually looks at the pages on the site to see if the pages are bad. There's two ways it could be bad, and using both of these, check them out. So, now, several of these get way down in the weeds, and you guys aren't really going to care, and I'm not even going to really recommend them other than it is a possibility. Number 8, you can go to Whois, I think that's it, and type in ckcs.org. Oops, spelled it wrong. And it will tell you, no, this isn't it. Well, you can go to GoDaddy if you wanted to. Well, I thought that was what I typed. Oh, there it is. That time I got it. I think I had to click Whois first. But it tells you, this is the one piece of data you're looking for. It tells you how old the website is. Anyone who has a website out there has to register the name of the website. That takes place on a date, on a specific date. Websites that are nefarious, that are going to cause you problems, it's very likely they were registered in the last few days or month or something like that. CKCS has been registered since February of 1995, which almost goes back to the beginning of the internet, at the beginning of the World Wide Web. So we've owned our domain for a very long time. Okay. Where am I? Site scanner, verify domain registration date, research the site's reputation. So the front page that I gave you tonight is my research of sites' reputation. You might ask a friend. Have you ever used this website before? What do you think of it? But just in general, act on the recommendations of people that you trust to know whether a site is worth looking at. And you can not sure how you do that. I don't think I've ever tried to do this before.
Sort of like Amazon, where you get user feedback.
Yep.
Vendors.
Yep. Wonder what that is.
Strange guy. Collection.
So what I've done is I've asked Google for a review of a website, in this case, ckcs.org. And you can use this to see what other people have written about ckcs.org. Now, some of them are originating with that website, so you wouldn't want to look at that. But hopefully, here's one from the Lexington Herald Leader from 2012. So if you do things like this and you find lots of information from other websites, then chances are pretty good this is a reputable site. Use Whois lookup tools. I already did that, but you know what I didn't look at is, let me do this again. The other thing that you can tell from the Whois information is the address of the owner of the website. In some cases, these are redacted for privacy. I'm not sure why would we do that on ours. Well, it says Arizona. I'm not sure why. Domains by proxy must be our. Well, in some cases, you can get the address of the website. In this case, you can't. But in some cases, you can. So you would obviously avoid one that might be in Nigeria or Russia or China or whatever. Where am I on? Number 11. So now I'm going to so you've got a link, you think it's okay, you're not quite sure, you think it's okay, but now you go to the website. How can you tell once you're looking at their website whether it's reputable, quality, you're going to get good information from it? And this next section of 8 solutions or 9 things to look for will help you judge the quality of a website. So if you've got sites with lots of ads and pop-ups, chances are that's not a very good quality website. Now, website owners have to support themselves, so having some ads is probably acceptable or appropriate. But if it's just crazy with ads, chances are it's not a very reputable site. Avoid sites requesting personal information prematurely. If they want to know your name and email address and home zip code before they even offer any help, chances are pretty good that's not a reputable website. They should give you information, and then if you like their website, they can try and talk you into something, an exchange with you, but you should not have to give any personally identifiable information until after you are confident you want to do business with that website. Urgent warnings and threats. Your browser is infected. You must resolve it right now. Click here to resolve. I've seen that one dozens of times, and my wife still calls me to the room. Paul, should I click on this? Are you sure? Am I okay? And I said, that's what that virus protection is for. So you don't ever have to believe that stuff that's coming up on your screen. So, obvious, and I've written here in the text, these are scare tactics to manipulate users into taking action. Point 14, check for poorly designed websites. If you start to have a bunch of things overlapping and text that runs off the edge of the screen or ads that are over top of content, chances are that's not a very professional website, and you'd probably rather not do business or take advice from a website that's that poorly put together. Inspect the contact information. A reputable website at the bottom of the screen. Let me make sure we follow this before I make a huge pronouncement here. A reputable website should, at the bottom of their front screen, give you information about the organization, including where they're located. Now, it may be a link to, about us or contact us or something like that, but they should not be hiding who they are. They should be forthright about who they are, as you see here with CKCS. Number 16, particularly if you're going to buy something, check the site's privacy and return policies. We used to have a privacy policy on our front page, but we don't anymore. already got it open, so I'm going to switch to it. I think we do down here. Here's our address. Maybe in our copyright. It was linked here somewhere. I don't know where it is anymore. Privacy policy. There it is right there. Privacy policy. So if a site is reputable, they're going to now a disreputable site could have a privacy policy. Doesn't mean they follow it, but the fact that they're willing to post one probably is chalks up one information. You see, we're good there. All right, privacy and return policy. So, again, if it's a nefarious website, chances are they're going to lie anyway, and they say, "Oh yeah, you can return it. You money back guarantee for the next 6 years." Well, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Oh, number 17, leads right into it. Be wary of sites promising instant fixes, miracle cures, or unbelievable discounts. This is sort of common sense, but and there are sites out there that will, I don't want to say this. Google provides people who use their product of some very clever tools. So if I'm Googling, broken idle regulator. I don't even know what that is. But if you get deep enough down into Google, you're like on the 10th page, you will start running into potentially some websites that feed back what you typed in as the Google search. And this is where this one comes in, unrealistic promises. And what they'll say is, we can fix your broken idle regulator in 4 easy clicks. Well, a broken idle regulator is something in my car. You can't click to fix it, but they're betting on the fact that you don't know that. And they're using the words that you searched for in order to give you text back. Or here's another one this one is really common. Get your broken idle regulator fixed in Lexington, Kentucky. Because not only can they tell what you typed into Google, they can also tell where you're browsing from. You'll see ads in the corner. I work in Wilmore, so I'm on the web at my office. It's hilarious, the ads that I see when I'm in Wilmore, because it will say, Ocean Cruises leaving from Wilmore. Or it will say, high-rise apartments available in your town, Wilmore, Kentucky. Or goes on and on with these. You just know they're stupid ads. And if you lived in one of those cities, it would look like a good ad. But for a little country town, it's sort of stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But the cruises, it actually didn't say ocean cruises. It said river cruises departing from Wilmore. So, yeah, obviously. So, where am I? Avoid sites offering unrealistic promises. So check for verified badges or trust seals. And the text here even says, but if you see, and these used to be pretty common. Let me go back to Tom's Hardware. He used to have some. I'm not seeing any. See if there's any at the back at the top. Well, let's just say, let me see if I can find another one. I'll hold it. More likely to have it. Well, okay. ZDNet is actually a company that gives badges. So best speakers, they'll rate speakers. Well, all this to say, if you see little badges on a website that says, you know, top 100 site or site of the day or best site for finding bargains, or they're little icons on the screen. Often they're clickable and they take you to the site that awarded the badge. And you can go to that site and check. And if that's a reputable site, if you know, oh, look, the Washington Post gave them in 2019 gave them a rating as a best travel site for Northern Virginia or something like that. That adds some credibility to that site because a third party site is endorsing them. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm getting toward the end here. Evaluate the quality of content. And that sort of is what this whole page is about. But and I mentioned it earlier with the ads, extra ads and things like that. If you find constant misspellings in the advice that the website is giving you, chances are pretty good that the person that's giving the advice or that typed up that advice is perhaps not as reputable as you'd like them to be. Now, having said that, I know some technicians who are terrible spellers. But technicians that are terrible spellers usually know they're terrible spellers and have someone else check their work. They don't want to publish things that make them look bad. So if you find a website that's got grammatical errors and it's got, or an email that's got grammatical errors and things like that, let that be a little red flag that goes off and says, hey, maybe this person isn't as reputable as they might seem. And then the last one, item number 20, and I mentioned this partly because I've known a couple of people that got trapped by it. They get this out of the blue phone call from Microsoft and it says, I'm calling from Microsoft support department. I notice you've been having problems with your computer. Well, that's a very open-ended statement. And over a week, most people probably have had some problem with their computer. And it sounds very reputable on the other end. Maybe, maybe not. But I've known people personally who have fallen for this tactic and said, yes, like my internet is really acting up. Well, now you've told them what the problem was. Well, I can fix this. All you have to do is go to this website. Click, click, click. Now, click this link. Yes, it's going to say, are you sure? Make sure you say yes. Now it's going to say, no, don't do this, but I need you to do it anyway. These are the kind of tactics that these phone solicitors use to take control of your computer. Once they have control of your computer, they're going to do your bank software. Lots of bad things are going to happen we don't want to have happen. So, unless you've called someone for support, don't answer the phone and expect that to be someone who's there to help you. If you're not expecting the call from a technician or something like that, they're not there to help you. They're there to hurt you. So you want to stay away from that. Hopefully this has been helpful information. I was able to expound on a topic of basically 2 lines and spend a whole hour talking about it. But now it's time for questions.
Oh, every now and then I use YouTube, not just to get help.
Could you try again?
That's my wife talking to me. Anyway, YouTube. I go to YouTube and get instructions on how you install a new door lock, that's electronic door lock, and how you can program it and set it up. Would it ever be a wise idea to say, I'm getting this message on my computer on YouTube? Sending that to YouTube and saying, what's the solution for this? Would you ever trust anyone, just all those people that are sitting out there on YouTube? Most of them have trouble speaking real English, for me.
Let me turn your question on its head. If instead of asking someone on YouTube for the answer to a specific question, use YouTube to search for the answer for your question. So if you use YouTube search to say,
I guess that's really what I'm saying. That you go there and
yes,
anyone, I don't know. You mentioned going to specific quote in quote areas, and that sounds good. I never thought of doing that, but I just wondered if maybe YouTube just asking this. I'm getting this error message. What's happening?
Yes, I don't have any problem with that, and I do that myself. And I do that for things far, far from computer problems.
Yeah.
Problems with my car, problems in my house, problems with an appliance. I do that all the time. The nice thing about YouTube is people rate those videos. They're not going to give a thumbs up to a video that didn't answer the question or gave them bad advice. They're going to give them a thumbs down. So the YouTube videos that float to the top tend to be the ones that are better, that more accurately answer the question that you're looking for. So yeah, YouTube is a very reasonable, and as I mentioned at the top, you can't get a virus from YouTube. Now you can get a virus from doing what YouTube tells you to do, but you can't get a virus from watching a video that I know of, from watching a video on YouTube.
Okay.
So
thanks.
yeah, that's good idea.
Just a question. Okay.
Well, and Google itself will often return, as you saw in some of the searches, often return YouTube videos to watch. So even if you're not searching on YouTube itself, Google will, or whatever search engine you're using will also return video results for those things. Good question, though. Other ones? Well, I don't know what I'm going to do next month. Somebody needs to send me an idea. So every month I've done a Windows SIG based on ideas that have come from you all. So if you have some burning Windows issue that you'd like to have talked about hear me expound on for an hour or so, this is your chance. Send me an email, paul@stackhouse.org. And I guess I forgot to introduce myself. I am Paul Stackhouse. Been around here long enough that most folks know who I am, but happy to have you here tonight. Happy that you came along for the ride. Hopefully the handout will be helpful. And I think we're going to get this emailed out to you tomorrow or sometime soon. So it's my fault it wasn't sent out ahead of time, but you should get it in your email in the next day or two. If you're not on the email list for some reason, if you don't already get these monthly, send me your email address and I'll see that you get added to the list. I'm only the interim SIG leader, so I don't want to be the curator of the list. I'm just passing on to the person who is. Right, Mike? Okay. There being no other questions, that's the end of the SIG. So happy to have you with us. I got to remember to turn off. I guess the video will turn itself off, won't it?
I'll just turn it off. Just click that same link again.
There's a pause button. Oh, stop video. There it is. What happens if you don't stop it?
You got an awful lot of space up on the cloud.
Nice to have you guys join us tonight.
Thanks, Paul. That was great.
You're welcome.
you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.